Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Whew, can't believe I made it this many episodes. This week, we are going to be doing a quarterly life review. And you might be thinking, like, what does this have to do with liberation, right? What does it have to do with a woman being liberated? Well, throughout this review that we're going to do, it's the end of the first quarter. It's April when this is releasing, it's the beginning of April. Throughout this review, I want you to pay attention to any shoulds you have in your life, like I should be doing this or I should be doing that, because that's where liberation comes in. We want to go about our life intentionally, right? But 95% of what we think, feel, and do is unconscious. So if you're listening to me right now and you're realizing that on January 1st, you have an intention for this year and you found yourself going back to unconscious habits, of course you did, right? Because 95% of what we do is unconscious. And excuse me, without intention, we will find ourselves going back to unconscious habits. And as we go through this today, I want you to get out a notebook, get out a piece of paper, get out a pen. If you're driving, wait to do this when you have, a few minutes to really sit down and reflect, because what we're going to do is bring everything to the conscious and set intentions for the next quarter. Before I started this podcast, and if you're on YouTube, you'll see me. This year I did vision boards with my sister-in-law and my brother, and I did not put mine on a board yet. They're just printouts, and I have pictures of all the things I wanted for myself for this year. So I'll share some of them with you. I have a picture of myself meditating by the beach, yoga on the beach. I have a picture of myself, it's not me, but somebody is facilitating breath work. I have a picture of myself picking up some really heavy weights, a women's circle, connecting with my spirit team, balancing my feminine and masculine energy, a plant medicine retreat. I have a picture of a dog and a man and a woman, because I really aspire to be in a relationship and have a dog. And I have a picture of an office that's surrounded by windows. And I have a picture of a phone that says touch humans, not screens, as a reminder to me to have more connection with humans than I do my phone. I also have a picture of the emotion wheel, the feelings wheel, for example, to remind me that I want to grow in my capacity to feel my feelings and my emotions. I have Woman Liberated, which was the podcast that you're on right now. I have abundance, debt free. And I have like some dollar signs for the amount of money I want to make for this year. That was my vision for the year. So as we begin, I want you to think about what your vision for 2024 is, because we're going to just check in to see if you feel or you think you're on track, or you have veered off of the track and went back to unconscious habits. The very first thing I want you to do is, that self-critical part of you, that self-critical voice that wants to come to the table right now with you. I want you to imagine that you have this pretty little box. It's a little keepsake box. And you're just going to ask the self-critical part of you to stay in the box for this meeting. And you're just going to bring self-love and compassion and curiosity to the meeting. And then the self-critical voice, if you want it to come back, it can come back after. Self-critical voice is also known as the ego. So here we go. Let's talk about breaking down the areas of your life into different areas. So first, I want you to choose the area that you want to do this review in, right? So you can break your life down into health, career and business, or business, money, relationships, spirituality, and you might have other areas that you want to break it down into. And I just want you to choose one area for this example. So choose the first area. I'm going to choose health. I'm going to choose health because that's the one that's on the top of my list. And as you choose your area, maybe you choose health with me right now and we go through this together. Think about what your top value in life is. What do you value most in life? For me, I value inner peace the most. Inner peace by far is the biggest thing I value the most. And I'm going to share why inner peace or your value is going to play a part in as you review your this area of your life. So for health, let's start with celebrating and acknowledging what you did do, what went well this quarter, right? So for me, this quarter, I was very consistent at doing yoga, practicing yoga. I practice yoga, excuse me. I practice yoga 2 to 4 times a week since January, and I feel really good about that. My body feels really good. I was experiencing a lot of upper back pain after coming back from my retreat in December, upper back and neck pain. And yoga seems to have helped me release that. And it comes back here and there. And the yoga practice has just been so amazing. Helps me get into my body. And it also helps me slow my mind. So that has been amazing. What else went well? What else went well? I walked occasionally. Let's see. Nutritionally speaking, I ate pretty clean for the most part. I drank plenty of water, got my electrolytes in. That's all physical health. Mental health, I regularly meditated at least 3 times a week. And that's a pretty big jump for me for this year, for this quarter. Really well. That went well. What else went well for you in this area that you're doing a review on? All right, so you got what went well. You celebrated yourself, right? You celebrate yourself. You say, good job, girl. I'm proud of you. You did that. You prioritize that. And then you ask yourself, what didn't go so well? Well, what didn't go so well with me is I walked, but it was inconsistent and it wasn't every day. And I want to be the type of woman who walks regularly. And I want to walk 30 plus minutes every day. And I didn't do that. What else didn't go well? I also want to be the type of woman who lifts heavy, right? Because that is one of the pictures on my vision board is a very heavy weight. I want to be the type of woman who lifts heavy 3 to 4 times a week. And that didn't go so well. I really didn't prioritize that. I lifted here and there, not regularly. I did lift heavy one day at the gym, and I lifted in my living room outside of that, and it was very inconsistent. So that didn't go so well. What else? Another thing that didn't go well was fiber. I like to prioritize fiber in my nutrition as like one of my vegetables as one of my primary sources of nutrition on my plate. And I really didn't do that well. And yeah. So, and then the next thing you do, you find all the things that didn't go well, and you ask yourself, why? Why? Now, here's where it gets tricky. The self-critical voice is going to try to come out of that little pretty box that you have it in right now. I want you to leave it in there because sometimes the meaning that you give it, there'll be the fact like, okay, I went to the gym X number of times, or I lifted heavy X number of times and I didn't lift heavy X number of times. That doesn't have a meaning until you give it one. And when we ask why, oftentimes our mind wants to just say, oh, because we were lazy, or we're not disciplined, or we're inconsistent. It gives it a meaning like that. That's not really a serving meaning though. The why that I want you to look for is what was the story you told yourself? Did you tell yourself you were too busy? Did you prioritize something else over that? Did you, were you afraid to go to the gym and be around people? If I had to reflect on mine, I think for me, I had a vision of what I wanted, but I did not commit every week I didn't plan. I didn't say, okay, this day, and this day, I'm going to the gym at this time to lift heavy. I didn't do that. I just allowed life to go. And when I had lunch break, I lifted a little, or I lifted in the morning. So for me, the reason was I was not intentional enough to make that happen. And I prioritized my yoga classes over that. And I want both, So in order for me to change that, I would really need to be intentional about what days I'm going to do a yoga class, because that's an hour, and what days I'm going to lift and at what time I'm going to walk, right? That takes some intentionality and it takes some planning on my part. So in order for me to make that happen, I need to believe that I can, right? First off. So ask yourself, what is it that you want? Not what is it that you should do? Because anytime there's a should involved, like I should be lifting heavy weights. Let me tell you, I've coached over 1,000 hours on weight loss. Anytime there's a should involved, there's guilt, shame, or regret, and it never moves us forward. It's like eating ice cream, telling yourself, I shouldn't be eating this. And it never works. You never put down the spoon because of a should. So I'm not lifting weights and you're not doing the thing you want to do because you should. You want to check in. Like sometimes what happens is your doctor will tell you, you should be doing XYZ. And you're like, so you tell people like, yeah, I should be doing this because my doctor wants me to, but you want to check in with you. What do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? For me, I want to lift weights now because when I'm 60, I want to be strong and I want my bones to be healthy. And I need to make it more conscious for me because easily I could not do it. Unconsciously, I could just totally not do it. So I need to believe that I can do that and it's possible. And as I think about my day, my week, I can do it. I can make it happen. I just need to be willing to do it at the times that work with my schedule. So I might have to be willing to do it at 7 a.m. when I think one of the reasons why that had stopped me is I don't want to do it at 7 a.m. because I don't want to eat that early. And so I think just talking about this out loud, because this is what it's like, right? In the reflection process is like, I don't want to eat at 7 a.m., but I do want to support my body if I'm going to be lifting heavier. So I need to be willing to go at 7 a.m. if that's what it takes, or to go at 6 p.m. if that's what it takes. And I need to be willing to have a protein shake right before, you know? Yeah. So that's a little bit of reflection. That's how you reflect without talking crap to yourself, right? Without self-judgment, without shaming yourself, just like, I didn't do that. And I'm not going in the direction I want to go in. And here's what, first off, this is what I'll have to do. Second off, this is what I have to believe, right? And then the third thing is, what do you have to feel? I think for me, I can't rely on motivation because I'm not going to be motivated to do it every day. So I'm going to have to rely on commitment and determination. I'm determined to increase my strength, to support and also to help my future self be strong, right? So that's what it looks like to reflect, evaluate, set the next intention. So now we got to be real specific. When am I going to start this? And where am I going to start at? So I definitely did not have a week where I lifted heavy at least once a week. And I mean heavy, meaning heavier than my 25-pound dumbbells at home. So I need to start where I'm at right now and not try to go back to the version of myself I was a few years ago. So if I started myself and met myself where I was today, then I would start with committing to 2 heavy lifting days a week at the gym. Part of me doesn't want to do that. I love lifting in my living room, but the weights are not heavy enough. So I'm going to commit to 2, and I'm going to commit to next week starting. I'm going to commit to this weekend, knowing exactly the days I'm going to do it next week and planning them and deciding them ahead of time and putting it on my calendar and also arranging it around my yoga days because I don't want to give up my yoga. So minimum of, this is tough, right? This is where the rubber meets the road. It's like, what do you want to give? What can you sacrifice to get this done? So ideally, I like to move my body 6 days a week. I'm going to say a minimum of 2 heavy lifting days and a minimum of 2 yoga classes. I'm going to do 3 or 4. Minimum of 2 and a minimum of 2 is my commitment for the next quarter. Anything above that's going to be extra credit. All right. I hope me and my reflection is helping you. This can be with anything. The other thing that didn't go well was fiber. So why? Why didn't it go well? It's just so easy for me to just have like, I don't care about food that much anymore. So I'll just eat a yogurt bowl with some blueberries. There is fiber in that. I'll just have my egg tacos every morning. There is a little fiber, but I'm not adding vegetables to that. Throughout the winter and cold times, I'm not really big on salads. I really like warm foods. And I just did not prioritize vegetables. I started off strong in January, and somewhere along the lines, I just didn't prioritize it. So my plan will be to add vegetables, and I wonder if even adding vegetables every meal would be a large ask. Well, it would be a large ask for a yogurt bowl to add vegetables. That doesn't sound great, but I could add a form of fiber, like a supplement, which I never do. You're probably wondering, like, why is fiber a big deal? Well, I'm in my 40s, and I'll share with you because we're all women here, right? I've gotten some labs done at certain times of the month to see where my estrogen is, because when you're in perimenopause, your hormones are kind of all over the place. And my estrogen to my progesterone ratio is a little high. And fiber really helps with getting rid of the excess estrogen. So, and when you have excess estrogen, you can kind of hold weight around different places like your thighs and your midsection and things like that. And so, yeah, so I'm supplementing a supplement that my provider told me to, but also I think what I'll do is add some fiber, and I'll add some fiber specifically to my dinner in the form of vegetables, but having more vegetables than I am having now. I like cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower. Oh, cauliflower roasted is like my favorite. Okay, now I'm going down the rabbit hole, but yeah, so that was step number 3, recommitting, right? Recommitment without shaming yourself, right? And make it doable. Make what you're about to do doable. Meaning don't try to like create a ladder for yourself, right? Don't try to jump from the top of the ladder to the bottom. Take one step. And then the final step in this evaluation process is to prepare for obstacles. Obstacles for me could be not being prepared, so not having veggies. So I need to prepare for that. So on the weekend, I need to go to Costco, stock up on vegetables. It is about to be spring and summer, so I could add some fruit into my life. I like to add fruit when it's in season. Fruit will add fiber. And then I can order a fiber supplement. And another obstacle I could have is, one of the biggest obstacles for me is not scheduling. So if I don't schedule my workouts, they won't get done because something else will go on my calendar. And so if I don't, so the obstacle is really me not taking time to schedule. And another obstacle is my mind. The morning of, the day of, my mind will try to talk me out of following the plan, and yours will too, because we have a primitive part, survival part of our brain that's always seeking comfort, seeking pleasure in the moment, trying to conserve energy. And so how do we prepare for that? I think the number one way that we prepare for our primitive brain to try to self-sabotage us is to know and be aware that it's going to happen. For example, if you know that you're setting a goal to move your body X number of times a week, and you know that you're going to try to talk yourself out of it, you might have your clothes prepared, or you might just say, you know what, I'm going to remind myself how good I'm going to feel afterwards. Like, oh, this is going to feel so good. And a big reminder to myself that I don't have to enjoy it. I don't have to feel really good. I can just drag myself to the gym and let it feel a little painful on the way, and then get it over with and feel good at the end, right? So I think those are the obstacles I might have. I also might have some travel this quarter. So I will need to make sure that, that wherever I go to has a gym where I can lift heavy. And my backup method will be, if I don't have a gym option to lift heavy, I will lift the weights that are not heavy anyway. I mean, honestly, when I lift my 25, 20s, 12s, 15s at home, I just need to do more reps. So that's what my backup plan will be for that obstacle. I'll do more reps. I'll still get a really amazing workout in. I won't allow myself to say, well, I don't have the heavier weights, so I don't have to work out. I don't have to lift. So I think that is the solution to that obstacle. And that's kind of what it looks like to do a quarterly review. Now, I'm going to invite you to do a quarterly review in every area of your life, because what happens is, if we don't, and we don't recommit, we can kind of wake up in like August or September and say, well, shoot, I'm not actually going after what I want to go after. I'm repeating the past, because your brain is wired to repeat the past. Everything you've thought, felt, did yesterday, it wants to do the same thing, because its job is to help you conserve energy. And so if I was doing this process for my career, my business, I would celebrate the fact that I started this podcast, and I would reflect on what I'm not doing that I want to be doing. Relationships. I have on my vision board that I want to be in a relationship and have a dog this year. And if I looked at my actions and I asked myself, am I on track for that, creating that in my life? The answer would be no. I mean, being in a relationship requires that I go out on dates, and I'm not doing that. Haven't opened myself up to doing that. So I want to invite you to check in with yourself in all the areas of your life. The vision you have for this year, what is one thing that you're not showing up for this vision for? And then check in with yourself. Is it a should, or is it a want? And if it's a want, are you willing to recommit to it? I hope this was helpful, and I will see you next week.